Hey, I'm Ani Kim and I study neurobiology. Specifically, I look at the brain on a really small scale, so I look at the individual cells that make up a brain. Now, if someone just plopped a regular old brain in front of you, it probably wouldn't look like much. However, if you put it under the microscope, you can see that the brain is not only ridiculously intricate, but it's actually made up of a ton of different types of cells.
The type of cell that has been the most extensively studied in the brain is the neuron. Now, neurons come in all different shapes, but this is kind of like a generalized structure of a neuron. And so what these cells are responsible for is conducting signals all throughout the brain. And how they do this is they have these branches called dendrites that pick up signals from other cells in the brain, and once they have enough signals, the neuron actually shoots this electrical current all the way down this longer branch called an axon. Once it reaches the axon terminal, then this signal is spread to other cells, and this process keeps going and going, creating this huge network of communication that spans through your entire body. Scientists have been focusing on these neurons for over 100 years. However, by almost solely focusing on these neurons, they actually neglected the other 50% of the brain, which is made up of glial cells. Now, these glial cells were thought of as supporting cells, kind of like the unimportant sidekicks to the hero that was the neuron. However, recently scientists have discovered that these cells are not only crucial to the brain, but they actually have a bunch of interesting functions on their own. For example, there are the oligodendrocytes, which are responsible for putting these little bundles on the axons of neurons in a process called myelination. Now, these bundles not only help protect the neuron, but they actually force the electrical current to hop between them, making the signal go up to 300 times faster. Now, this process of myelination continues all the way up until your 30s, and it's incredibly important in the development of your mind. So much so that scientists even think that the reason that you are pretty terrible at making decisions when you're younger, but a lot better at it by the time that you're, middle-aged, is because these oligodendrocytes are actually making your brain more efficient. There are also the microglia, which are what I study, and you can think of these as pretty much the security guards of the brain. They have all these extensions that reach out into the brain and sense danger, like, for example, a bacterium. And whenever they do sense danger, all of these branches contract back in, and this cell scurries off to basically eat whatever's causing the problem. Also, astrocytes, which are not only responsible for the flow of nutrients through the brain, but they're actually able to communicate not only with other astrocytes, but with neurons as well. Now, these cells and other various glial cells are doing all these really complex things in the brain, but when something goes wrong with one of them, it can actually cause serious damage to your brain. For example, if oligodendrocytes stop putting on these bundles, it can lead to schizophrenia. Or we also know that microglia and astrocytes get really activated when stroke is happening, but we don't really know if they're harming or helping the brain. By continuing to study these cells, we are not only learning more about the cool functions that they do, but we can actually develop ways to combat these terrible diseases by creating new drugs or treatments. Thank you so much.